Hello children, how are you all? Hope you all are fine. Take very good care of yourself. Okay? Yeah. So last time I had told you about the juices, the citric juices. So are you people drinking? If you are not drinking, make a habit of drinking those citric juices. Okay? It boosts your energy. Yes. So do you remember the topic what we discussed in the last video about our second lesson? Sources of history. Okay, sources of history. So we had discussed about coins. The main sources of history are coins and artifact and monuments. These were the two topics we discussed in the last video. And today it will be written material. Our third topic is written material and oral sources. Okay. So we'll just give a quick brush up about the coins. The first main source of history was coins. So earlier it was bits of metal pieces. What was written on that? The ruler's name, the year they minted, and the language they were following. Okay, and the artifact. Those were the things with the mud, with the clay what they had. The earlier people had made the objects with the red clay, and the monuments were the Egypt monument. I had shown you, right? The Egypt pyramid. Yes, this was the pyramid, and Taj Mahal. These are the monuments. So, and today we will be reading about written record, page number 19. Okay, written records. Ready? Yes. Written records or written material are writings from early times. So written records and written materials are writings, that is somebody has written manually, not the typing one. Written means written with the hand from early times. Sometimes these are in language like Sanskrit that people can read. So earlier many people, most of them knew writing and reading Sanskrit. So it was written in the Sanskrit language. Many ancient Indian books are written in Sanskrit. Okay, so many ancient means very long time ago. Asian books were written in Sanskrit language only, because most of the people knew writing and reading Sanskrit. Next, sometimes Asian writings are in language which nobody can understand. Why nobody can understand? Because they had written in such a style or in different language, but that nobody can understand, because maybe they don't want to disclose their secrets, what was going on in the kingdom, so that nobody knows what is happening in the kingdom, what they were about to do in the kingdom, rules and changes in their lives. Okay, so they didn't wanted to disclose it, so they had written in a language which nobody can understand. In such cases, experts have to work very hard to understand the writing. So in such cases, experts, whoever is referring those sources to make history, to make that story completed, they used to find very hard to know the story, because it's written in a secret language which normal people cannot understand. So they had to work very hard to understand those written papers. So it is like trying to read a secret writing. So how the experts would found themselves to be? They were finding it very difficult, first of all, and when they were trying to read and collect those sources of history, they used to find as if they are reading or reading the secret writings. Okay. Next, written records are of different types. So the man who manually who has written, they are of different types. Let's find out what are those. That is, sometimes a king or someone else in his court, the people around him wrote about his rule. So if you must have seen a serial Mahabharat or Jodha Akbar and all, so in that court where the king used to sit and say the rules or rule the kingdom, they have a court there. Around him they have many ministers, okay, his assistants who were taking care of the other places. They used to come there and sit and listen to him what are the changes and how the king has to be ruled. So this is how we know a lot about Indian ruler like Babur and Akbar. So because of this, people used to sit and write what are the changes that king has made in his kingdom, like changing of coins or changing the rules, changing the lifestyles, okay, and their rules and regulations, everything, whatever the changes they had made, they had written copies of it. This we come to know through Babur and Akbar. Here you can see this is a Sanskrit language. You can see this example of Sanskrit writing. It is very similar to Hindi language, but it is Sanskrit. Check this out. This is the writing of ancient Egyptian. After a lot of work, experts were able to read this. If you see this picture, you will not find any kind of language. It is actually pictures minted on it, like birds, some objects, some kind of plates, arrows and all. It's done. It's been minted in with the object style. Here in this picture, the Babur, okay, the Mughal Empire, one of the Mughal Empire, that's Babur Nama. Babur Nama was written in Urdu language. This is Urdu language. What he is told in this, that is a page from a book called Babur Nama that Babur wrote in it. He says that he became a ruler when he was 12 years old. So in this you come to know that Babur was only 12 years old when he became a ruler. Just a little older than you. Exactly right. He's little older than you, that's all. Then Babur loved nature. He has described the animals and plants of India. Such paintings are also sources of history. So in this, what do you come to know? The Babur Nama was written in Urdu. In that it is said that Babur was only 12 years when he became a ruler, and he has described the animals and plants of India through painting, and even that is the sources of history. Okay? Yes. Let's turn the page. That is page number 20. Paragraph 2. People who were not rulers wrote about their lives or about the times in which they lived. So the common people, not the ruler or minister or mantri, nobody, not the special one, the common people. The common people, what they have written about their life, lifestyle, everything. Okay. Some foreign visitors wrote about the places that they visited. So the foreign people, when they came to India, the foreigners, what did they write? They wrote about the places that they visited. Okay, where they were interested in seeing those places, they have written about them. Okay, many visitors to India describe the things that they saw. Their writings are an important sources of information about Indian history. So even you must be having a habit, no? When you go to some new places, when you view all those new monuments, places, new museum, all the tourist places, you try to sit and write what you saw, right? In the same way, even the foreigners who visited India in those times and even the recent times, they had the habit of describing what they saw, how it was. So even that is a part of sources of history that gives the information at that time in our past, long years back. Okay, how were the places, what were the places. Okay, it gives the detailed information about the past. Then third paragraph, religious books also give some idea of earlier times. So religious books, okay, the religious books, for example, that is the Vedas, the pronounced Veds are Hindu religious books written by early people called the Aryans. They help us to understand how the Aryans lived. That means even the religious book, in olden days people used to write books who knew everything about it. They used to write books in the name of the Hindu religion book, that is called the Vedas, okay, written by early people called Aryans. They help us to understand how the Aryans lived. In those times, how the Aryans lived, it is given in the religious book called Vedas. Okay, even that is the part of the sources of history. Yeah. Next, fourth paragraph. Written records are also found on rocks, stones or metals. So written records, even people used to write on rocks, pillars, stones and on metals also. These are called inscription. So what is this called? The written record which is found on rocks, metals, stones, pillars and all. It is called inscription. If you can just check here. In this pillar, on this pillar, it's written something. I don't know which language this is. Inscription on a pillar put by Ashoka. So this was written during Ashoka's time. Okay. This is called inscription. They give historians information too. So what? This information, whatever it is written on this pillar, even that gives the information for historians. We have learnt about the great Indian ruler Ashoka, who was born over 2300 years ago through such inscription. So how did we come to know that Ashoka was born 2300 years ago? How? Because of this inscription. Because of this inscription, whatever was written on rocks, stones and metals, on that they had mentioned that in this year Ashoka was born, this were his achievements, this was his losses, okay, all his lifestyles and all, it has written. So through that we come to know that Ashoka was born 2300 years ago, and this is also a main source of sources of history. Okay, now you come to know, I just give you a small details. That is, our third sources of history is written material. What do we come to know under written material is, written material are also called as written records. Okay, it is also called as written records. The written records were, most of the written records were in the language, which language? Sanskrit language. It was written in Sanskrit language. And there was some different language also which nobody could understand. There, I told you, right, there was some secret writtens also which nobody could understand. Okay. Next, different written records. This is just a jog of points. Okay. Under different written records, we come to know about Indian rulers, how they lived, how their lifestyle was, what were their achievements, which are war they went through, everything. Then people wrote about their lives. So the normal people, other than rulers, ministers, mantris, whoever they were, other than that, the normal people also wrote about their lifestyle. Next, written records were also in religious books. Okay, the religious books also were the sources of history. Next, in the religion books were written in Hindu religion book. Written records are found on rocks, stones or metals. Where are they found? They are found on rocks, stones or metals, and this is called inscription. The written thing is called inscription. Okay. Next, what is the next sources? That is oral sources. What are the oral sources called? That is stories, songs and poems are called oral sources. When your family talked to you about their early life, you learned a part of your family history. See, when you sit and listen to your grandparents' story, they all talk about their past, how they lived, what kind of lifestyle they had, what kind of food they used to eat, which are the places they went. Is it? Yes, if you have not heard such stories, sit with your grandparents, they will surely discuss. Okay. Then similarly, people have told stories verbally. What do you mean by verbally? That means through spoken words, only with the words, not in written records, only with the, like how I am telling you a story, this is also a verbal one, but it is written here. This is a written record, and what I am conveying it to you, that is a verbal story. Okay. So verbally, through spoken words about their lives. These are called oral sources. Now you understood what are the oral sources? That is stories, songs and poems are called oral sources. Songs, poems or folk tales that tells us about people lives or of historical events are also oral sources. So other than songs, poem and folk tales, also it tells the people lives in past, in earlier, how people lives were there, how they used to live, even that is the oral sources. From these, historians learn about things which may not be found in written records. From these oral sources, historians found that this was not written. Okay, these details were not written about their lifestyle and all, but it is given in the short stories, poems and songs. Next, the need to preserve sources. We learn about the past only through the sources of history. Yes, right? We learned about the past only because of the sources what historian collected, and they made a story, they formed the story and they conveyed it to us. In the same way, even we are reading out to you. Okay? Every source can tell story. By looking at sources carefully and trying to understand them, archaeologists and historians get a picture of our people and events in the past. So by looking at these sources, their inscriptions, their coins, their artifacts, monuments or everything, historians and archaeologists could picturize, they could picture the events and the people, how they were. Because of those sources, they could convey all this message to us. This is why everybody should realize how important it is to take care of all historical sources. With this, what we come to know, if historians and artifacts people, if they protect all these sources, we can come to know about the history and their sources. Then page number 21. Archaeologists, historians and other people all need to look after historical resources. Means archaeologists, historian and other people also has to take care of their sources, because it conveys the story about the past. If one thing also get messed up, so it will be a problem in understanding the history. For example, in time of war, museums that preserve a lot of historical sources are in danger. So what happened during the time of war and all, people who used to take care of museum has to take care of the things very carefully, because it will be in danger. People who worked at such museum at that time hid their artifact and brought them out again when peace returned. So during that time what happened, the people who were taking care of museum, they had to hid their artifacts, their things, whatever they had preserved in museum, they had to hid everything, because it was in danger. Any people who would come from outside and they can flick it easily and go, okay, then we will miss out our resources, right? So they had to hid their resources. Then when the time of peace returned, again they can come and display it. They preserve knowledge for us all. So what happened? They all did this only to preserve knowledge, so that we come to know about the history. Okay, now you understood? Yes, if you have not understood, please check the video once more, you will surely understand. Okay, now I will give you an assignment. Yeah, for today's video we have assignment that you should write a paragraph on the achievements of the great ruler Ashoka. Okay, check here. Write a paragraph about the achievements. I want you to write about the achievements of the great Indian ruler Ashoka. Okay, the great Indian ruler Ashoka. I want you to write a paragraph on it. Okay. Okay then, see you in next video. Bye bye.